Hi, I'm Sandy Maxx, and super duper Alice Cooper has a new album called Detroit Stories. Iconic rock and roll Hall of Famer with an immense stage and on-screen presence who's given us joy with music, theatrical concerts, in movies, TV, and comic books. Welcome to 96.5 WKLH.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Alice. How are you?
I am great. Are you guys covered in snow back there?
It is thawing. It is melting. Now it's all black snow.
I'm in Arizona. It was 82 degrees here today.
Should I just hang up now?
I just wanted you to be jealous, okay?
All right, I am. I would like to be out with you in Arizona, maybe hit up a Brewers spring training game. But I am glad to get the chance to talk with you now about Detroit Stories. Even the album cover sets the tone. Everybody knows Gotham City has the bat signal. But on the album cover, Detroit City has the Alice Cooper eyes in lights over the skyline. We'll talk about this album and also how you're doing and what you're doing these days.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And so you can picture me for this special occasion. I am wearing heavy eyeliner, a tiny dog collar, and $1,000 high-heeled shoes.
And nothing else?
Well, I didn't pick up any other fashion tips from any of the other songs on Detroit Stories.
You know, the funny thing about that was that, you know, if you're doing an album about Detroit, you can't ignore Motown. And so I wrote that song as a hard rock song, and then once we got in the studio, we kind of looked at each other and went, let's make this a Motown song. So we got the horns, you know, from Motown, and we got the girls, Sister Sledge, singing on it. And, I mean, in the end, it's a very funny song, but I really wanted it to have the flavor of a Motown song.
And you got it. It's fun. And I like that, although it's Detroit Stories, and this is a love letter to this hard rockin' city, you're all right with the little Philly flavor with Sister Sledge, you know.
Oh, yeah. You know, we've known those girls for a while, and they're great girls. And it really just fit right in. They you know, fell right into it and loved the song. So, but, I mean, also on the album, there's a blues song. You know, we tried to touch all the different flavors of Detroit.
I think you got it. I mean, this is one of those albums that I enjoyed it from the very first time I clicked play.
Oh, thank you so much.
I think you do achieve the variety and flavors of your Detroit experience. And you're sort of Professor Cooper. You're educating the rest of us. Well, you know, because it's been fun to discover and rediscover things that I'd forgotten. Like Susie Quattro, I know she's still making music, but I never knew she was from Detroit. How did that escape me?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, the funny thing was our band in 1969, we went to L.A., and L.A. was ruled by the Doors and by, you know, bands like Love and bands like Buffalo Springfield. And the Doors were our best friends.
Oh, really?
But we just did not fit in. I mean, we were too violent, or we were too Clockwork Orange, you know, for L.A. was all groovy. Everything was groovy, you know, and we were just a little bit too much in their face. So San Francisco, the same thing, you know. New York, same thing. So when we finally got to Detroit, we played a big outdoor festival, and I had never heard of the MC5. I'd never heard of the Stooges or Bob Seger or Ted Nugent or Susie Quattro. They were all local bands. And when we got there, I saw the MC5, and I just went, holy crap, who are these guys? You know? And then I saw the Iggy and the Stooges, and I went, are you kidding me? This guy is amazing. And then we went on stage and played, and they loved us. It was the first place that really embraced us because we were louder, more hard rock, and maybe even more frightening than the other two bands. And that's what Detroit is. You could not be Seals and Croft in Detroit. You know, it's just one of those things where Detroit was one of the cities that wanted their rock and roll in your face and attitude. And we were that. Then they found out I was born in Detroit.
There you go.
But, you know, I'll tell you the truth. It's not just Detroit. The Midwest. When we play Milwaukee, when we play Wisconsin, when we play Minnesota, you know, all of the Midwest is much more hard rock than Los Angeles or New York or San Francisco. I mean, all the real hard rock really seems to be in the Midwest. And so every time that we would play Milwaukee, we would or Madison, or any of those cities there, and we get the same reaction. It was just a great, big, loud, raucous audience, and that was the kind of audience we wanted.
Well, a year ago, we were ready. We were ready for you. You were going to be here last April at the Milwaukee Theater, so a lot of us were looking forward to that.
I know.
Now, looking back, though, do you remember first Milwaukee concert would have been 1973 on the $1 Billion Babies Tour, Milwaukee Arena. Do you remember anything about that first performance or have any other fond Milwaukee memories?
Well, for one thing, we also played Madison, Wisconsin. And the mayor of Madison was 23 years old, right? And he gave us the key to the city. But it wasn't a key the way it was a
Did you try all the doors? Are you sure?
Well, this was more of a kilo than a key. And we just went, we can't accept this. We were always very nervous about anything like that. But, college towns, they were very loose about grass, And we said, well, listen, we drink beer, so we're going to drink your Milwaukee beer, but we got to stay away from this other stuff. But I remember that about Mad City. That was really pretty loose back then.
You felt very welcome, though, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was great. I mean, another thing about Wisconsin that's interesting is when you have 4th of July there, it is the longest fireworks show I've ever seen in my life. It goes on for 4 hours.
That's why people camp out 2 weeks in advance up and down the lakefront with their lawn chairs and their coolers.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. We did the Summerfest thing there, and in fact, I think in June there's a thing coming up called the Moon Dance in the middle of Wisconsin, and we're supposed to be playing there in June. I mean, hopefully things will open up by then. I've already gotten my 2 shots, and I'm hoping everybody else gets theirs, so we can start touring again. Excellent,
because you are beloved here in Milwaukee ever since you were such a knowledgeable ambassador for our city in the movie Wayne's World.
Milwaukee. I actually had people telling me after a while, could you not Milwaukee? Could you just say Milwaukee? People from Milwaukee were getting tired of that bit.
No, not ever. You're talking about a city where we have the Bronze Fonz. Embrace the joy.
Yes, you're right.
Plus the positive connection to Wisconsin with your guest appearance on that 70s show with the BOA.
That's right. And Wayne's World,
Yep. And I mean, that is what I truly love, that your career, you're an amazing musician, songwriter, entertainer, performer, but you are everywhere. And I mean that in the right way. Like, you are pervasive through all sorts of art, pop culture, golfing, of course. How does it feel to have that sort of impact?
Well, there was a time when Alice Cooper was painted into a corner early on in the career where they just said, well, all he is, he's this villain. And, he only does this. And then I got together, with my manager, and I said, we have got to branch out and not get painted into this corner. Yeah, I'm always going to do the villain character Alice Cooper on stage. The audience wants that character, and I love playing Alice Cooper, really. But, I don't mind playing Herod in Jesus Christ Superstar. I got to play Herod on that big special that they did. And I think it was important that we let the audience know that Alice could go on the Johnny Carson show and be funny, or could act and could do this or could do that. We didn't want to just be a one-trick pony,
Now that the Muppet Show is on Disney Plus.
Oh, that was the most fun I ever had doing anything, was the Muppet Show.
You look like it.
Well, what happens is, first of all, it was the biggest show in the world right then. And it was the hippest show. And they called me up and they said, do you want to do the Muppet Show? And I thought, oh, my gosh, that's going to water down my image so much, and I love the show, but is it right to do it? And I asked them, I said, who else has done the show recently? And they said, well, let me see, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price. And immediately I went, I'm in. Because if those guys can do the show, those guys are the monster, in the Monster Hall of Fame, I mean, I certainly can do it. When I got there, I never had so much fun because after 2 days of rehearsal, you start talking to the Muppets like people. I mean, you're literally having a conversation with Miss Piggy and with Kermit, and they're reacting just like a person would, and you get caught up in it.
How wonderful for you, because I feel like you're such a ringmaster of the theatrics. So for you to get to experience being immersed in that world, I love that.
And also I was lucky enough to be there when Jim Henson was there and when Frank Oz, all the original guys were there. So I was very fortunate to be there when it was really at its best.
Cool. There's no way I can have this conversation with you and not talk about golf. But I do want to bring it back to your Detroit Stories album for a second. You know how I know Detroit Stories is a love letter to the city?
How?
When you read the liner notes and there's a shout out to Gordie Howe.
Yes, and to Al Kaline and to Bobby Lane. Those were the guys they were the legends in Detroit, back in the 50s and 60s. And so, yeah, I mean, I was a big sports fan when I was a kid, and those guys were my heroes. And so, I'm going to certainly tip my hat to them.
So speaking of sports, so many of my friends, when I say Alice Cooper, yes, we all want to see you feed your Frankenstein on stage. But so many people are like, okay, ask him about his golf game. So I have a few questions. First, what is your current handicap, Alice?
2.
2? 2 is the number.
2.
Second,
Yeah.
What was the moment you fell in love with the game?
Well, I quit drinking, and I quit doing drugs, and it was 38 years ago. And I decided that I had to find an addiction that wasn't going to kill me. Now, I was a good baseball player. I mean, you couldn't throw anything over that plate that I couldn't put the bat on. So I figured, I live in Arizona. There's 250 golf courses here. I'll go try golf. Well, the very first time I hit a ball, I hit it right down the middle, and I was addicted right then. It was one of those things where you can't wait till the next shot. I still play 6 days a week. And at 73, after 3 days after my 73rd birthday, I shot 3 under 69. So I play a lot.
I think you've channeled your energy well.
Yeah, well, in the morning, and when we're on tour, you're in Wichita on a Tuesday morning. My guitar player and my bass player and we go play 9 holes. Because what are you going to do, go to the mall again? You've got all day, and you don't do anything till 9 o'clock that night. So golf is a great way to get out of the hotel. And now every band I know plays golf. I mean, I don't care, heavy metal,
But you got to think you made it cool for other rockers because you were the trendsetter.
We hijacked the game. And one of the things that was kind of cool was there's a bunch of kids that their parents won't let them come to see Alice Cooper. And I always used to tell them, okay, do you want to get back at your dad? Yeah. Tell him that I can beat him in golf.
So as you were probably a gateway for rockers to feel good about playing golf.
Yeah.
Last golf question for you is Tiger Woods. Have you ever played with him?
Yes.
I've got to think so.
And I had dinner with him at the AT&T up in Pebble Beach. And I really got along with him very well. He had a very funny sense of humor. He was at the top of his game right then. And somehow that night, he gave me the flu. We shook hands, and the next day he had the flu, and I had the flu. And so, yeah, but Tiger's great. There's certain people in certain things, like the Beatles. Nobody will ever be the Beatles. They're so far beyond anybody. There never will be a dancer like Fred Astaire. He's so far ahead of the next guy. There's Salvador Dali. Who can compare to him? Well, that's the same with Tiger. Tiger's at that point now where he really is the greatest of all time. Everybody in golf owes him because he brought the game back to being a really, really important thing. People that hate golf watch golf if Tiger's playing. So that's really something. He's a rock star.
Alice, you are an expert storyteller. I could sit and listen for you for hours. I've enjoyed all the stories that you have ever told, from Groucho Marx to Rat Pack to Tiger Woods, like all of them. But I respect your time, so I will not keep you. But I do have one question for you.
Okay.
Now that we're doing creativity during coronavirus restrictions, have you seen the video of Robert Fripp and his wife, Toya Wilcox, covering your song Poison as part of their Sunday lockdown lunch video series?
I was on the floor laughing. I was in shock. If something could shock me, that was shocking. And then Robert Fripp is one of the great guitar players. I mean, he was in, King Crimson, and he's one of the premier guitar players of all time. I had no idea that was him. And I had no idea. I thought she was just a waitress or something at this restaurant. But I sat there and I went, this is absolutely either the best thing I've ever seen or the worst.
You continue to inspire. I just love it. So, all right, so there's a husband and wife getting creative during the coronavirus.
I love that.
You tour with your lovely bride. We saw you at the Wisconsin State Fair show a couple of summers ago. So are you and your wife doing something creative like that together? Are you still tap dancing? Wasn't that something you were trying out?
Tap dancing was something that we started the whole, when everything went down and everybody had to stay home. My wife is a professional dancer. I mean, she was with Joffrey Ballet, and she was with, and my two daughters are both professional dancers, and my oldest daughter's a comedian and an actress, but they can all dance. So all of us guys, all of us husbands are out there trying to learn the soft shoe, in the backyard on a piece of plywood with a teacher. And I would say right now I could probably fake a soft shoe, but you'll never see it on stage. It'll never happen. You'll never see Alice Cooper doing the soft shoe on stage, okay? That was basically more for me.
I was thinking maybe we could convince you to do soft shoe Sundays.
Yeah, well, I look at it this way. Back in the 30s and 40s, every single actor, I don't care if it's Humphrey Bogart, I don't care if it's Boris Karloff, they could all tap dance. That was one of the things that they all learned. And I went, well, this is 2021. How come I can't tap dance? So I decided to learn. And, yeah, it didn't last a long time, But most of the time was made, writing songs. And I'm still writing an album for the Vampires. And I'm still writing the next Alice Cooper album right now. And there's like 3 albums going on right now. And this one just came out.
I love that your creativity continues to flow. And I love that you are so kind to your fans. Thank you for spending time with me. And you're even kind when you're traveling. And I have a story that my brother noticed you as he was boarding a flight to Florida back in the 1990s. When he asked you for an autograph, you signed a barf bag for him.
Well, appropriate. How appropriate.
Unfortunately, he didn't keep that treasure like I would have. He told me later he bartered the barf bag for a skateboard or something.
Oh, you know what? Good deal. Because if I see him again, I'll sign another one for him.
That is perfect. I wish you big health, big happiness, and I am so excited to have you return to Milwaukee so we can see you again.
Oh, I cannot wait. Believe me, we're all we're waiting for is the go sign, and we'll be on tour.
Thanks for a fun conversation.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad you liked the album. That's very important.
Thank you for all of the art that you've created, and I look forward to hopefully connecting with you again.
We will talk again as soon as we get in town, okay?
All right. Take good care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Alice Cooper, his new album, Detroit Stories and Other Goodies. You'll find him at alicecooper.com. Look for Detroit Stories on all your favorite audio platforms for purchase, download, and streaming. I'm Sandy Maxx. Thank you for listening. Rock on.